You gonna look at me and not say anything?
I did look at that intro. Well, yeah. First of all, I got to ask a question. That said a few weeks. My contract says 1 day, and I'm out of here.
No, we already pulled off your credit card. You're done.
But
you paid for the full few weeks.
My credit
buddy.
card, huh?
Well,
Jerry's in for a surprise, Patty.
You know what's going to be mine, right?
No one's ever seen yours, Joe.
Yeah. What is it? My motto is, I ain't got no money, Jason.
I'm pretty sure that's what's actually on his license plate, guys. Sorry, Bill. We're going to bring you in on this.
Yeah, Bill, just hang out. We'll get you in about an hour. Hold
Looks
on.
to be exciting.
So, well, it is the kickoff show. It's the kickoff show.
It is.
For the next few weeks, we are going to be talking about local politics and the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because I don't want to hang out and just go, oh, isn't it great that we live in such a great thing? We're going to talk about issues that will probably make a few of you cringe. So,
no, I don't think so.
I think so.
I think the thing that
doesn't matter what I think,
in my
go
opinion,
ahead.
I think what will make people cringe is when they realize that there's 21 different local elections that are going to be on people's ballots.
Local.
21. That's not including the congressional. That's not including the assembly. That's not including any of the state ballot propositions or county ballots. That is just school boards, water boards, city council.
Oh, yeah, but you think about something. The Valley has what, approximately 65 elected seats.
That's
seriously?
Right. Yeah.
Who thought of this?
Hey.
I'm not.
I mean, we're going to get to it. You know, we downsized some of the water board seats.
Yeah.
Maybe if we could shrink some of those school board seats, maybe.
No, you know what? I've talked about this for years, and we'll get into it at some point in time, because why do we need 25 trustees? If we're truly one community, we're all together, we all want to do the right. This just gets really crazy after a while.
Hey, well, when we get to that discussion in a future show, I want somebody, though, from the other side that says we need 25 trustees.
Really?
Because I don't want just a Joe Messina monologue.
Oh, no. You can bring in 5 other people. I have no problem with that. I have a lot of fun with it. Right?
No, that will be entertaining.
Have you ever been on a committee where there's a lot of people and try to get something done?
Try the biggest committee I've been in, usually about 11.
Really?
It gets dicey.
I was on the Measure V committee. There were 35 people on that committee, and that committee took 45 minutes at the beginning of the meeting to discuss what was actually said in the minutes from the previous meeting. That's what that flat spot came from, because I'm going, come on, really? Seriously? Does it matter?
And then when you included the introductions at every meeting, it just got longer
Oh, that's right. I
and
forgot
longer.
about that. That's right. Another 30 minutes for that, because nobody can do it 10 cents. Hi, I'm Joe Smith, and I'm here because I want to be.
No, because we're all doing important things.
So talk about these seats, that are up for election. Because you're the election guy. Anyway.
I did, but I was going through it this morning, and it went 2 pages, and then 3 pages, and then 4 pages. So I figured, Bill, what we're going to end up doing is today we're going to have 2 guests with us. The first one, who's sitting to our right very patiently, just trying to keep a straight face through our nonsense, is Mr. Bill Cooper.
No, look, you see his face? He's looking, going, what am I doing here?
Is Mr. Bill Cooper from the SCV Water Agency, and then I believe we're going to have Maria Gutzeit as well, who will also be calling in later today.
Jason, why don't you tell the listeners what the goal is here and what we'll be doing over the next few weeks?
Boy, I don't know. It's whatever you say, Joe. No, I'm just kidding.
It's your credit card.
I want your face to shrug. No, the goal is really to alert the community about these races. You know, so often we get lost in the big political picture of national politics and what's happening in D.C., and everyone still wants to talk about what happens with the previous president, while all of us here are always sitting here constantly fighting and advocating for our community and fighting locally. And the biggest change and the biggest things that happen in your community are right here at your school boards, are right at the city council, are right here on the water board, and it gets lost. And the hope here was to really demonstrate to everybody all the different races that are happening, demonstrate what they do, what their importance is, and really introduce them to what they're going to see on their ballot. I mean, that was the goal here. It was just kind of to alert people that this is coming.
And some of this came out of when we're walking around at the soccer games and the football games and going to the events in the park. People don't know, and they're going to take it the wrong way, but people are ignorant to the politics in this valley, to the seats that are available, to who does what, where, and how. I mean, how many people would know right now that we have one water agency and not, when I got here, I think it was 3 or 4.
It was 4, right? 4.
And it was like, okay, when you mean you're laying pipes right next to each other? Seriously? But those were things we were talking about. When I got here and found out that there were 5 school districts, why?
Sure.
Why? And now it would be hard to change. But to your point, we'll talk about it later on. But you look at these things and say, what is going on? I didn't know the difference between a town council and a city council.
Sure.
We have 2 town councils still, I believe.
You have the Castaic Town Council
And West Ranch.
I don't know if they're still active. See, that's another one. They've been very quiet. I don't
Because
even
they're
know
smart.
if they're still
They don't
active.
make any noise. Nobody bothers them, right?
See, now I didn't even add them to the list. I got to add them back to the list. But the other thing we wanted to do is, yourself, you've been involved in local politics a long time. I won't
Too
tell
long.
everybody how long, but I'll
No.
intimate that it was far too long. And then I'm more,
My last ballot came by Pony Express. But go ahead.
and I'm much more recent. I really got involved locally in politics not until 2017. And before I walked into City Hall for the first time in January 2017, I didn't know that there were 5 council members. I didn't know who any of the council members were. I didn't even know where City Hall was. So I have an interesting perspective of someone who has got to come in on the coattails of the city, right? Because what do we always tout in this community? We're family oriented. Mm-hmm. We do great things in education. We do great things for the people in our community. It's a place to come, raise your family, live a clean, safe, healthy life. And I get to benefit from what's been laid on the groundwork since the mid-'80s and the people who've still been involved doing it for 40 years. So I've gotten to see that, but the Valley is changing. Politics is getting partisan. Locally, it's getting partisan. And from what I've experienced and the people I've talked to, that wasn't the case.
No.
I mean, partisanship was there, but it didn't drive the vote. It didn't drive people to the ballot or to come to serve.
I'm going to bring up a name he'll know, but you'll have no clues who this person
All right,
was.
let's see what we got.
Roberta Gillis.
Oh, yes.
All right, he was right.
Flamboyant.
But there were a lot of we had that outwardly kind of argument with each other, if you would, a little bit of the roughness. But when we got together in a room and it had to do with issues that were going on, that went out the door. I can tell you way back when even Christy Smith, when she was on Newhall School Board, she wasn't anywhere near as partisan as she is today. And I worked with her on some programs, and I work on a regular basis with people like Sue Solomon and other Democrats in education. When you're truly, you and I have had this conversation many times.
Sure.
When you're truly in this for no political reason whatsoever, you really, just for my case, you care about the kids and you want to make sure that the kids have every opportunity to succeed. Politics never plays into it, ever. And I think what we've seen now is a wave of people coming in that are looking at us going, they've got to go. We've got a better idea.
Sure.
Not, boy, I really see these kids missing some stuff, and I want, I know you won't totally agree with me with that.
No,
but when you look at what they're posting and putting up, Facebook is a truth teller.
I think that's part of it. But I think what you're seeing is a lot more people are coming to run for office, but it starts with a political bent. They assume, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but Joe actually sways a certain direction in politics.
I thought he was
I
middle
try
of
to
the
keep
road.
it quiet.
Middle. Thank you, Bill. That was great. But one of the compliments that you always receive as a member of the Heart Board is your politics are not worn on your sleeve when you govern and the decisions that you make. So and we'll get to you because we're going to do a section on talking about just the Heart Board in a later episode. And what I always tell people is you ran for that seat 4 times before getting elected.
Thank you for reminding me. Yeah.
And I'm not doing that just to point out that
15,
Joe's been known to
30,
lose.
I remember all the checks that I had to write for 4 times, yes.
If only the first 3 bounced, right?
Oh.
But that showed that you kept running because you had an interest for career tech ed. You had a very specific interest for what you wanted to do for the kids. You never ran because you said, well, I don't like the party or the political party that somebody else holds that's in that seat. It was never about that. But we're not naive. We all have our own politics and we all have our own partisanship, but you shouldn't govern with it.
But I ran against my own party.
You did.
My own people when they came against me because they were ignoring career tech education. And it was the only thing that kept me in school and many others. And it was the only thing that kept my son in school.
Yep.
And we are an affluent community. And what I always hated was the fact that you kind of poo-pooed auto mechanics. You kind of poo-pooed wood shop. And go, really? How does this great surgeon we have living in our community, how does he get to work when his car breaks out if you don't have an ace mechanic around? How does he fix that roof of his? You know what I'm saying?
Yep. We
kind of forgot all about those, that somebody else will take care of that. And that really frosted me.
I understand that. I think you had a big push for a generation or two where college was always what was next.
Oh, yeah.
And if that wasn't where you were going, or even early on when I was first looking in school back in the mid-late 90s, it was almost taboo to talk about city college. It was, no, you're going to a university. And we're shifting away from that. You're seeing more and more of a need for people who are in those technical roles, who actually want to do things with their hands, who want to build things, who want to be involved. And it's not just about getting that piece of paper.
And the new high school, I'm just breaking in here.
Gee, thank you.
The new
He doesn't know anything about that.
the new high school, I've gone up and taken a tour of it, does that. It's set up for those technical classes that kids need. And I had when I was a youngster, and they really taught me a lot. And not all of us we're not going to be doctors and lawyers. And
No.
there's jobs for all of us, and there's people that are very interested in wood shop and metal shops, and I'm glad to see that being done.
But who,
at
and
State
who
High School.
designs the cutting edge technology that's coming, out of some of these engineering schools and other places? It's not the doctor or the attorney. It's these kids that really locked on to wanting to be architects and engineers and designers and such.
Yes.
But again, when you ran for office, I'm going to have some fun with that because I'm running around town with him the first time he ran. I'm helping him put up signs, and I'm putting up signs. Going, you're going to lose, right?
Oh,
And
he
we're
did.
putting
He was very gentle about it too, by the way.
Yeah, right. Let me. Since you're spending all your money, let me buy you, something here, Jack in the Box. You're going to lose, right? So, it was just a matter of the community as such. They need to get to know you. They need to know you're being real. They need to know that you're not just running for an office to run for office. The thing that frosts my butt is when I see, and we'll talk about this later, certain people, they run for every seat that comes open or they think they can grab. That tells me they don't have a heart for serving in a certain area. They just think that they should be elected. Look at me. But he didn't have that attitude. He was just new to the game.
Sure.
So after that, when he ran, I tried to talk him into running for city council. I tried to talk him into running for a school board.
He did.
I said, it's the most frustratingly rewarding job I've ever had, that I've ever been in. And I said, they need young people like you. You need to get rid of people like me from a standpoint of he gets it, he understands it, but his heart was with the city. He had things that he wanted to help get done in the city. And I just said, okay, then that's where you need to go.
Well, yeah, but if I'm being self-serving, the idea of hanging out with you more often than I already
was
do
it really?
is a little rough for me, Joe. But before we hit the break, I'm gonna run down just
Well,
real
you did
quick.
that like a professional.
I did. You like that? I did.
You
I
must
didn't
be
even know if we're
listening to
coming for a
my
break.
show.
See,
Go
people
ahead.
don't notice, but Patty's got a bunch of signs that he can wave at us back there to let us know when we're on track or off track. So I just wanted to kind of touch on the people. So filing has, for all intents and purposes, have closed. Unless, of course, there's an incumbent who's decided not to run for office, then it extends for, I think, another 5 days.
5
since
days.
last Friday.
Yes, that's correct.
But for the most part, we have a pretty clear picture of what we expect to see on the ballot. So I thought I'd give some good news, and I thought I'd give some bad news. And I base my good news and bad news on one simple thing. Is there more than one person you got to worry about that's on the ballot when you vote? Right? So for College of the Canyons, you had 2 seats that were up this year, trustee area number 1 and number 5. In area number 1, longtime incumbent Mike Berger chose not to seek re-election and retire, but there is only one person who filed to run for that seat. In theory, they do have 3 more days, I think, this week if someone wants to come in, but a Mr. Chuck Lyon is currently the only person who would appear on everybody's ballot from area 1. And
But
in
if
an
he's
area,
not challenged, he pretty much walks in.
and he will just walk in.
And he's a very good guy.
Yeah.
Yes,
Chuck.
very capable.
And then in trustee area number 5, the incumbent Joan McGregor has refiled, and there were no challengers. So the same thing for area number 5. There'll be one person on the ballot. So you don't have to put any thought into that one either. Sulphur Springs Union School District, across the board. All 3 incumbents from the 3 areas, 3, 4, and 5, have all decided to rerun, and they're all running unchallenged. Paola Jellings, Ken Chase, and Lori McDonald.
And that usually, and it's a good board overall, and that is usually the case with some of the elementary schools. Is they're cranking along, they're doing the right thing. There's not a lot of challenges, and you see that very frequently.
You do.
Yeah, and this is Ken's second term, and he's doing a good job up there. I think he's a very, he's a good guy.
And and I think I didn't look them up, but I'm pretty sure that they're not all the same political persuasion.
No.
And that's another perfect example of the history we talk about in Santa Clarita.
Yep.
Of no one's asking whether Ken is this or Lori is this. It's, are you doing a good job in serving this community and serving the students? And like you said, if you're not being challenged and the district is doing a good job, you tend to see that consistency. Now, Newhall is a little different. In trustee area number 1, Brian Walters is the current incumbent, and he is now being challenged by Donna Robert. And I believe Donna ran for the Hart School Board in 2018 against Bob Jensen, and
Right.
she came in second, if I'm recalling correctly. And then in trustee area number 2, you have an incumbent who's chose not to seek re-election in Miss Donna Rose. And you have 2 people who have filed there, a Rochelle Haddock and Servina. Is that right?
Yeah.
Servina Mystery.
Mystery. Yeah, and Donna was a great, truly a great trustee. And there's another example. I want to say it again. That board is a mix of Democrats and Republicans.
Yep.
They don't talk about Democrats and Republicans, and they do a great job. I was actually quite jealous of them this year because they were doing so much with and for the parents and getting things accomplished.
Oh, very good. And then trustee area 3 is Ernesto Smith. And as of now, Ernesto was the incumbent and no one challenged.
No,
So
he's another Democrat, good guy, legislates, if you would, or comes up with processes based on what's the best for the kids and not what the party's telling him to do.
perfect. Then we get to Saugus Union School District. And this one's got challenges in every single trustee race. And trustee area number 1, the incumbent, David Barlavi, has chosen not to seek re-election, but we will get to him again.
Yeah, he's going to be your partner. Up
He,
there.
he has put his hat in the ring for city council. So you have 2 people who've chosen to challenge. The first is Jesus Henao, who's a parent, coach, and businessman who ran for a first time in
He ran
2018.
before,
And he's choosing to run again for that seat. And then a new person, Cassandra Love, who's listed as an attorney and parent who's chosen to challenge for that seat. In trustee area 2, the incumbent Laura Aerosmith is filed to run for this will be her second term. And they have a new challenger, Anna Grease.
Yeah.
I believe is how I pronounce that.
Well, I've met with many times. She's a wonderful candidate.
Good.
I've met her. She's very bright. I'm really impressed with her.
Really cares about the kids.
Even sent her a check, and I don't do that
Wow.
very often. I don't.
Yeah.
you
It's
know.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes he sends them, but he doesn't sign them.
Yeah,
I
that's
think he's messing with me.
That's right. They give them back to you that way.
And then in trustee area number 5, Mr. Chris Trunke, the incumbent, he has filed again, and challenger Charlene Duzick is running. And she challenged Chris in 2018.
Yeah,
and she was within a couple hundred votes, I believe.
Yeah, and for a president of the school board to be that close is an issue. There's a problem.
So they're going back at it, so they'll have another trip around the sun. And then we'll get to the William S. Hart Union
God
School
bless
District.
America. Yeah.
Again, each seat has an incumbent all running, and each incumbent will have a challenger. In Area 2, we have Bob Jensen, the current board member, who's being challenged by local listed as an educational advocate, Mr. Andrew Taban.
We'll have to talk about these designations somewhere in the show because they're not right.
And that goes for the water board as well. We'd like to talk about those designations.
We'll get those there. In Area 3, Dr. Charisse Moore, current board member, parent educator, is rerunning. And she's being challenged by former Sulphur Springs school board member from the mid-2000s, Teresa Todd.
And very active in the community over the
Extremely
years.
active.
Yeah. This is the first time that the Hart Board trustees have not all been endorsing each other.
I was going to say, it's a little different over there.
Yeah,
We'll
is.
get into that one.
I know we will, yeah.
And then area number 5, we have Joe Messina.
Yeah.
Joe Messina.
Messima.
Mr. Joe Messina, current president of the school board, I
Yes,
believe.
yeah.
Current incumbent. He is being challenged by Rebecca Hinman.
I said it wrong last time, so I'm not saying anything because I don't want her to think that
I'm sure I
doing it
said
on
at least one
purpose.
of those wrong. So Rebecca, I apologize, but Miss Rebecca will be challenging Mr. Joe Messina
Yes.
in his district. And now I'll jump real quick to the water agency. This one is, you know what? No, we're going to save that one for after the break.
That's
I'll use
right.
that as an
That-
intro for Mr.
smart
Cooper.
move, you
But
know.
I will say just real quick, Santa Clarita City Council. All 3 incumbents who are running, council members Bill Miranda and Marcia McLean and Mayor Lorene West have all filed to rerun. And they will have a total of 6 challengers this time, which we laugh. But when I ran in 18, I believe there was 15 people to challenge. So the pool has shrunk in the last 4
I had
years.
8 one year, so yeah, we're good.
And those challengers are Denise Light, Selena Thomas, Doug Frazier, Jeffrey Malik, David Barlavi, and Cody Ammer. And we will talk more about them in a future show as well. But with that, we'll save the water agency for after the break. We'll run to it. And what are we listening to? What do we call ourselves?
I have no idea. Oh, Trending SCV.
Trending SCV. You are listening to Trending SCV for the first time, and we'll see you after the break.
Santa Clarita Lanes is more than just a bowling center. It's fun, food, and parties for the entire family. In addition to their popular leagues that run every day of the week, Santa Clarita Lanes offers rooms for kids' birthday parties and game rooms. And if you love the NFL, Vincenzo's Pizza is the place to be on Sundays with the complete NFL football package, showing every game on its 10 televisions and widescreens. Whether it's bowling, birthdays, or the NFL, Santa Clarita Lanes offers the best in family entertainment.
This is Bradley from Santa Clarita Grocery, the all-volunteer grocery program serving children, families, and individuals experiencing food insecurities. Since January 2020, Santa Clarita Grocery has distributed 83 tons of fresh groceries to 4,465 families in the SCV. Santa Clarita Grocery is a drive-up, drive-through service with physical distancing in place to continue serving our community. If you are in need or looking for a charity to do the most good for our community, please consider partnering with us by donating to Santa Clarita Grocery, one of the most efficient charities in the Santa Clarita Valley. A full 99 cents out of every dollar goes directly back to the community. Santa Clarita Grocery operates on a 1% overhead and is sustained through private donations. Santa Clarita Grocery is at 21176 Center Point Parkway in the Oasis Furniture parking lot. Please visit our website, santaclaritagrocery.org, or our Facebook at Santa Clarita Grocery to make a difference in our awesome town community. 661-425-7575. Be our guest and experience the difference.
Your business sign is essential to getting customers to your location. Feathers can help you get your business noticed. Feathers, now in a new larger space with plenty of parking. They walk you through each phase of your project with special attention to detail and quality. Feathers will provide you a sign that you can be proud of. Your sign will draw customers in instead of having them drive by. Visit Feathers online at feathersigns.com or go to Feathers' brand new bigger location at 26017 Huntington Drive off Rye Canyon or call 298-9442.
KHTS, your hometown station.
Why, I've never been so insulted in my life.
Well, it's early yet.
We are back. Hopefully you are too.
We're
I don't
having
know.
too much fun
I
with
wouldn't
the
have turned
breaks.
back in after all that garbage. Anyway,
It's a good thing Patty turns off the microphones at the break.
yeah, but I want to find out first of all what political persuasion he is.
Doesn't matter.
And
That's
then
not
I want
how
to
we
find.
operate.
Then I want to look at his bank account and see if somebody's paying him because they could go hot at any time.
First of all, like, what did we talk about for the first 30 minutes? It's not about political
doesn't really
persuasion.
matter.
You leave him alone.
Nobody remembers anyway. So
Patty's my man.
Nobody remembers anyway. But no, seriously, I mean, I'm excited we're doing this together because you said it earlier, which I think is important. You're new to the process.
Sure.
And I guess I'm an old greenish white-haired guy. That
Yeah, Bill and I have been talking about Joe's hair is kind of green today. It's a little odd.
That's what happens when you spend too much time in a chlorine.
You got too much
right?
chlorine in that pool, Joe.
So I think it's good to bring both perspectives into what's going on, and that way there, because your questions would be different than my questions.
Sure.
If you would, but waterboard, it's really fun. I know I'm going to catch slack for this, but the thing with waterboard is, when you guys have always reached out and said, hey, do we have anybody who wants to run? Are we doing this? Are we working with people for this? I would say, it's not sexy. It's so hard to get somebody to run for waterboard. Because, what do? You clean dishes with it, you swim in it, you bathe in it once in a while, and that kind of thing. And people don't really realize the importance of we need water to build the schools, to build the houses. It plays a bigger part. And when somebody wants to get on a school board or water board or city council, but especially a water board, for all the wrong reasons, we need to talk about that. We need to make sure. So you've got somebody sitting here that wants to be introduced. What are you listening to me for?
Well, I'll tell you what. We'll reintroduce Mr. Bill Cooper in just a moment, but I will do the lead in with talking about the local races coming up for the water agency.
You were, yeah.
Because this gets a little fascinating. Now, if you're like you and I, who you've been involved with the local politics and you kind of follow the ins and outs of it.
He's drooling out of the side of his mouth already.
There's a lot that has gone on with our local water agency over the last about 4 years. I think this started maybe 2018 is when the shift kind of started changing and we combined under the Senator Wilk bill.
It's been about almost 5 years now, and
Okay.
yes, unlike the school districts, we merged all of the water companies in the valley and made it into one water company. And it's absolutely working perfect. It really has been a good solution to this valley.
Beautiful. So with that, though, what is happening is you have 3 divisions. And I think when the water board first formed, you had, was it 15 board members at the time? 5
Well,
years
when we
ago?
combined the 2 boards together, we had the 2 full boards.
Yeah.
So we had 15 board members.
Okay. And then over time, the goal was we were going to decrease them, and there would be seats that fall off as we move along.
In working with Senator Wilk when we did the legislation, this election, the board has to drop down to 9 seats. Now, we've dropped some off
Sure.
Up to this point, so we're down to 12. So, but this year we have to go down to 9 positions.
9. And that's where it ends, right? Each area will have 3 members from here on out.
That's correct.
Okay. So
There's
as
only
you-
3 areas?
there's 3 areas.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Division 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
And in Division 1, for our Mr. Bill Cooper here, we're shrinking from 2 seats to 1, as Bill mentioned. Bill Cooper is one of our incumbents, and a gentleman by the name of R.J. Kelly is a current incumbent. But it appears that R.J. has chosen not to file for re-election.
That's correct.
So Bill will be the only incumbent running for the single seat after we drop down. But there have been 2 people that have come in now to file as challengers. One is a Melissa Cantu, who's listed as a high school teacher, and I believe she's a daughter of a current water board member.
Well, we have a director, Ed Colley.
Mr. Colley.
He's
Okay.
he's in Division 2, and he's her. Yes, that's his daughter, and she's running for the board as well.
Okay, and then the third person is a Nicole Wilson, who filed just a couple, maybe a day or 2 before the end of the filing, who's listed as a fiscal policy analyst. And then in Division 2, you only had 1 seat that was up for election this year, but that was held by former incumbent Jerry Gladback.
Yes.
And has been reported, and it was very sad. Mr. Gladback very unexpectedly passed away. So he did not file for his seat, and you have 3 challengers now for what was Jerry's seat. Kathy Colley, who I believe was a former water board member and is listed as a registered nurse, who was the wife of Director Colley. And then you have a Mr. Dirk Marks, who's listed as a water resource engineer. And the third challenger is a Sage Rafferty, who's listed as a water policy engineer. And then finally, just to close the gap, this one's the same thing. We're shrinking from 2 seats to 1 seat in District 3, and we have 2 current incumbents who are the only 2 challengers who will now be challenging for the single seat. One is Lynn Plambeck, and the second is Maria Gutzeit, who I believe will be joining us
In a little bit, yep.
after the next break here, as Maria Gutzeit.
I got 2 questions here.
Okay.
I think I'm the least educated guy in the room, so you got to explain some stuff to me.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Patty does look smart.
We don't have
than
to
you.
get deep into it now. We can later on. But Rafferty has run for 3 different seats at this point. This will be the 3rd.
No, that's incorrect.
Well, okay. When I say run, prepared to run for, alluded to run
So
for.
Mr. Rafferty ran for the Saugus Union School Board in 2018 against Matt Watson.
Okay, he lost.
And,
Obviously.
and he wasn't a water policy engineer at that time.
Wasn't? No. Was he an education policy engineer? Maybe. I don't know. We'll check it out.
I don't know.
I know. Hey, look.
And then
You told me no filter, so
No, that's fine. And then he was listed online as preparing to run for the Hart School Board
he was
against
running against some
right-wing
shock
shock
jock.
jock.
Yeah,
Some
right.
Joe Messina guy. I've never
needed to
met
go,
him.
right? Because
And he wasn't a water policy engineer.
Not then
in
either.
that
I
run.
still
No.
think he might have been an education policy engineer, but I'm gonna check that out.
And then now he is filed to run for the water board.
As an engineer.
As the water.
Cool.
What
Yeah.
did I say?
So you remember back in the 70s? Remember back in the 70s when they changed like it was a bad thing, you know? I mean, being a wife, even when if she's at home with the kids, they make it sound like it's so bad. It's not. I don't want that job, right?
No.
And they turned it into a domestic engineer. Remember they used to call him the domestic engineer. Maybe that's I don't know. But
Well,
anyway, so
He works for Cushman Wakefield,
right.
which is a commercial real estate.
Right.
And he's listed there as chief engineer. He's over their maintenance. He's over maintenance of buildings.
So
that
he's
Cushman
technically like a water, an electrical,
He's not a real
solar,
engineer. He's got a degree in political science.
The other thing, though, that sticks out to me like something that we've always didn't like in this valley, with all due respect to Congressman McKeon, when his wife ran for office, people found that, even though they appreciate a buck, they found that kind of distasteful. Now you've got Ed Colley with his daughter and his wife running. I'm sorry, this is like rerun of Dynasty, because the water board is, whether people want to hear it or not, it's a very powerful board. You get to decide whether homes get built based on the water that's available and what you're willing to release. Where the schools get built, we had a heck of a time with Castaic High School. So I think people need to understand, to your point earlier, pay attention to what's going on. Do you really want 3 people from the same family, or even 2 people from the same family, on that board as one vote?
Well, think about it. I mean, this board is going down to 9 members, and 3 of them, a third of that board is going to be one family.
Yeah.
That's
Not good.
heavily influenced by kind of the leader of the family.
And then there's you.
And then there's you.
No, you've done some great things. You guys have done some great things.
And I'm going to
But go
introduce
ahead.
Bill, but the
Yeah,
last
why don't
thing
you
I'll say
introduce
before I
him?
introduce Mr. Cooper is we glossed over something
Uh-oh.
much more important. Patty, what is dynasty?
Dynasty would be basically like passed down from generation to generation, something like
Joe, when
a
you say-
lineage.
Okay, what
Sorry,
is-
wrong answer.
I think your definition's right.
The definition is correct. But when you go home, you know that little thing you got in your hand there? Google Dynasty, okay? And then tell me who shot JR when you're all done. Nobody would even know what I'm talking
All
about.
right.
You and I know.
So,
Okay, let's get us back.
Let's
on
get
track.
back to the
All right,
red
so
here.
I'm going to introduce this gentleman who's been very patient with us today. This is Mr. Bill Cooper. Pulled this all right off the internet. The internet doesn't lie, everybody. Mr. Cooper is a longtime water professional, having worked for the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California for about 40 years. During that time, he has held various posts, including the water treatment section manager, overseeing operations and maintenance of all 5 metropolitan water treatment plants that supply about 1/2 of all the water to 19 million people in Southern California. And you said water isn't sexy. Get out of here.
It's
What are you
not.
talking about? Mr. Cooper has managed some of the largest water treatment plants in the United States and was an adjunct professor at College of the Canyons, teaching the Environmental Technologies Water Treatment Program. Mr. Cooper has served on the CLWA board since 1993 and was president of that board for 5 years, from 1996 to 2001, and has served on various committees and has chaired the Planning and Engineering Committee, providing oversight for the agency's $55 million capital improvement program. Also, what we always talk about as being very important for our elected officials is being a truly active participant in the Santa Clarita Valley. Mr. Cooper is a member and currently the vice chair of the Child and Family Center Governing Board, and he serves on the Child Centers Foundation Board and was board chair from 05 to 06. He was appointed by Santa Clarita Mayor at the time, Frank Ferry, to the city's elected officials committee on teenage alcohol and drug abuse, and was a member of the Hart District School Site Council.
You know, we only have 20 minutes left.
Okay, well, he's very important. Your resume is much smaller, so you're much easier to introduce. He has been a member of the American Water Works Association, the Association for the California Water Agencies, as well as many others. Mr. Cooper, welcome to the show, sir. Thank you for being
Thank
here.
you. This has been very interesting up to this point.
Wow, you're easy.
And I've got to disagree with Mr. Messina that I don't want to say sexy, but water is interesting. It's been my whole career. I've been in water throughout my whole career, and
You could say from before birth.
you know, you could. I guess you could
what
say
a
that.
horrible- Patty, can we get a commercial? I need a break. I'm just kidding. Oh, you can behave yourself. Leave the jokes to me. Okay.
Anyway.
And you know, I moved out to this valley in 1972. I've seen this valley grow and I've seen it prosper. When I moved here, there was one store that you could go to was Kmart. That was the only store. There was no mall. There was very little of the Valencia that we see now. And this town has really come into itself. It's a wonderful community, and that's why I stay here. And the one thing, I'm going to tell you, the one thing that makes it what it is water. Is this community couldn't be what it is without the water and the planning that people have put into it way ahead of time. There's been some really visionary people that said, you know, this area is going to grow, and we're going to have to look for water. So they joined the State Water Project and became a part of the whole State Water Project. Since then, we've bought more water from the State Water Project. We've got a bigger allocation. And here, I don't know, it's been 20 years ago, we went out and we bought a ranch up in the Central Valley, Devil's Den Ranch, 8,600 acres. We didn't buy it to farm. We bought it because it had a water allocation that went to that ranch. And we looked at the water that we could take from there and in dry years, bring it through the aqueduct and bring it to our valley. Things that we've done, and I tell you, I'm really impressed with Santa Clarita Valley Water Agency, not because I'm on the board. It's the staff that are really impressive. And the one that you mentioned on there, Dirk Marks, that's running for Division Two.
Division 2.
He is retired from the water agency. He is probably the premier water resource planning person in the state. And
In the state?
in the state of California. He knows more about the state water project contracts, which are gigantic, than the state water contract people do. Dirk is absolutely amazing. But he's the one that helped us get into, he said, there's a chance up in the Central Valley we can get into water banking. We can put water into the ground, keep it there, and then in dry years, we pump it out and we bring it down to Santa Clarita Valley. So he got us into semi-tropic groundwater storage, Rosedale, Rio Bravo groundwater storage. Now we're looking at Antelope Valley, East Kern water storage districts in those wet years that we store water there and we bring it down. That's why, unlike the city of LA, that right now they're on watering 1 day a week, and I heard that they may even reduce that to no watering a week, every week to your lawns. But we can water 3 days. Do lawns look real good right now? No, they don't. This drought is huge. It's something nobody's ever experienced before, biggest in 1,200 years. But we're able to continue to supply water, but we're asking everybody to conserve, to cut back, and do your share of it. But we've had some excellent planning, and I really appreciate people like Dirk Marks. They've really made this valley what it is.
But that's what what you're talking about now. Things that you've done in the past. Look at the board that you have. Look at the board that even the other water districts had. These were people who really cared about water and not about politics.
We had pretty much the board was made of engineers, real engineers, not water policy engineers, but real engineers. I mean, we had Bill Pexey and we had Jackie McMillan. We had Jerry Gladback was in it. We had Tom Campbell. Most of them were civil engineers, and they understood water and they understood public policy and what it took to get water to this valley. What we have now is there are 3 members on the board that have absolutely no idea about water, and they're there for politics. Is they want to control water in this valley to control growth, and they want to control it by water. Water agency has nothing to do with building. That's the city council that approves it, and the LA Board of Supervisors. That's the planning authorities, not us.
We should talk about that someday on a show here where people don't understand that we have fingers of the county in the city, so there's different standards and what have you.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to cut to a break, but
Take a
2
note.
things. One, we're going to have Mr. Cooper back. Because
Why?
This is it? This is all I get to do?
Your banter nonsense really took away from his time, so we got to get you under control on future shows. But,
Duct tape.
Bill, the 2 things I want to hit you with. One, for the everyday voter, what does a water board member do? And then with the last 30 seconds, why Mr. Cooper?
Being a water board director, the big thing we look at is future planning. We put together, and we get the consultants and we get the engineers together to put together things like the Urban Water Management Plan, which is looking at water supply out past 2050 and beyond, and then also looking at what is the expected development in the valley. The valley's going to grow. I want my kids to live here when they grow up, and you want yours to live here when they grow up. So it's going to grow. But we looked at that long-range planning and the projects that we're going to need and how much money it's going to take to build those projects. And we need to build at least 10 years out. Unlike a lot of things that can be done, what are we going to do next year? We need to look at 10 years out, and then what's the schedule for construction of all of that. So that's what it is. And I enjoy that. I love it. I don't play partisan politics on the board. I'm here. I'm a conservative, and I want to continue running as a conservative on the board. I look at the budget hard. I look at water projects that we're doing, pipelines that we need to build, and take a good look at those before we do it and what the timing is of it and who's going to pay for it. And it's not the local residents when we're building some of those things. It's those developers that are coming in that are building homes. They need to pay for it, not us.
Bill, how do people find out more about you?
Yes.
You can go on my website. It's billcooper.com. I've got a lot of videos on there that I've been doing little quips on water, and you probably learn more about water than you ever wanted to know. I like water. I think it's sexy, Joe. And
You want to impress me? Do one from the bottom of the pool.
and I think we need to talk to Joe about how much chlorine he puts in the pool.
I agree.
His green hair just doesn't do it for him.
That hair's looking green. Bill, thank you for joining us. We're going to have you back. We're about to take a break here with Joe Messina and Jason Gibbs on Trending SCV. After the break, we got Maria Gutzeit from the waterboard joining us. Stick around.
Hey, Ned, what are you doing with that calculator? The customer said they don't have the money for a new system right now, and their old AC system has had it. It's too bad we can't help them.
Yes, we can. Pacific Air now has special financing. 0 payments and 0 interest for a year. I mean, we'll help people stay cool in Simi Valley, Ojai, Fillmore, and all over Ventura County. Aren't you supposed to tell me to get in the truck?
Nope. Let's go tell the customer the good news. Mark and Kaylee for Pacific Air.
Maybe Ned needs to switch to decaf.
But everyone at Pacific Air is excited about our new financing options.
If you're a homeowner that's a little strapped for cash, finding money to replace a broken HVAC system can be difficult.
Not anymore. Introducing Pac Air's new 0 payments and 0 interest for a year on any new HVAC system.
No surprises, just exceptional service. Because nobody cares like Pacific Air, we think you'll say,
"Wow!"
Call Pacific Air. Learn more about our new financing options today at pacair.com.
Helping lead the way to a greener future, all of Burtech's Santa Clarita Valley waste collection trucks run on clean-burning natural gas. Burtech takes pride in their community, and they've been serving the SCV for nearly 2 decades. Because at Burtech, we'll take care of it.
At Jersey Mike's, we make a sub above. Bread baked fresh, veggies served crisp, meat and cheese sliced on the spot. Then comes the juice. Red wine vinegar and olive oil blended to perfection. It's what makes a Jersey Mike's sub a sub to behold. And beholding? Well, we think that works best with 2 hands. Jersey Mike's, be a sub above.
Your Santa Clarita Jersey Mike's, a proud sponsor of Santa Clarita Sports.
KHTS, your hometown station.
Why, you did say something, didn't you? Are you doing that on purpose? Or can't you make up your mind?
That's the trouble. I can't make up my mind. I haven't got a brain. Only straw.
How can you talk if you haven't got a brain?
I don't know. But some people without brains do an awful lot of talking, don't they?
Yes, I guess you're right.
We are back. Hopefully you are too. Always appreciate your time with me. Hey, Jason, he couldn't take it anymore, really. I mean, he can only handle me for about 20 minutes at a clip, 25 minutes.
That's so kind of understandable.
Ooh, ouch. I still say water's not sexy. Anyway, no, Jason, being the good dad that he is, and I mean that sincerely, went to pick up his children at school, which is noble of him, you know, and I appreciate that. And that's what this community's about, too. It is about family. You know, Jason... I used to say something about Cameron when he didn't have gray strands of hair, that he was the face of the city. You know, young family, kids, the whole 9 yards. So
that's what makes our valley so wonderful. I mean, between the schools and the kids that we've got and the parks that we've got, it's a wonderful community for raising families out here.
You know, I think the school districts are the ones that really make it, but that's just me.
Well, you wouldn't have that green grass at the schools without the water.
That's
right.
All right. That's true. But seriously, it is everybody coming together to make this place. My mantra for years has been a better place to work, live, and play, which is true. You really don't have to leave this valley if you have a family. The great parks. To your point, you know, we've got a great community pool, if you would, community activity center. We've got all kinds of things for the family where they really don't have to leave. Concerts in the Park, another great place. And again, with the Castaic Lake Water Agency, that Central Park, in about 30 seconds, tell me what Central Park is and why it's related to the water agency.
Well, it's owned by Santa Clarita Valley Water Agency. We lease 150 acres to the city for $100 a year. And we wanted that as a buffer.
Can I
between our
get in
water
on
treatment
that?
plant. Yeah.
Or what?
Well, you mean that kind of, it's a good rental. And we just met with the city recently and renewed our lease. We kind of keep it as a rolling lease every 10 years, but it's going to stay as the
Beautiful
premier park in the valley.
Yeah.
It is. And we like being a part. You know, it shows how public agencies can work together and partner in these kinds of projects. I think it's great.
We work with the city on the SROs, the resource officers that we have on campus. We work with the city to share some of our facilities with the city in our performing arts centers and our parks as well. So you're right. It is definitely, we all have to kind of get along with each other. We all have to work with each other, and we have to have relationships with each other that have nothing to do with politics. All right. I met Maria Gutzeit years and years ago, and Maria at the time, because we're talking politics, I believe at the time she was a Democrat. I won't ask her anything now, but I didn't look at the party she was with, even though I was heavily involved with the Republican Party. I loved all the things that she was doing. I loved the fact that she put people before she put herself or her party or anything else. She was looking out there, to your point, saying, okay, what do we need 10 years down the road? What do we need 20 years down the road? What are we looking for? What's good for us? What's bad for us? So
when Maria first came on our board, I was a little concerned, and what I saw with Maria is, she's a chemical engineer, and she's a scientist.
Yep.
And that she looks at things from that viewpoint, and not from politics. And she and I don't always agree on politics, but we do on water. She looks at the projects just like the rest of us do, and she's truly a nonpartisan person on the board.
We're stealing all her time, so we're going to have to bring her back. But
Mm-hmm.
Maria Gutzeit, is she on?
Yep, I'm on.
Oh, there you are. Cool,
Okay.
Maria.
Hi, Maria.
Maria,
Hello.
I got Bill here because Jason said I don't want to talk to Maria. I already talked to Maria before.
I heard.
Yeah.
Tell him I heard that, by the way.
But you're a current board member and president for the Santa Clarita Valley Groundwater Sustainability Agency. You also served as a board member of both New Hall County Water District and the SCV Water from 2003 to 2020, and you were instrumental in the formation of the new SCV Water Agency. And I've appreciated your service for years, and I think you know that in all sincerity. So, Bill and Jason ate up all your time. So first we're going to do is what are some of the things you'd like to see done here in the future? You'd like to try to get accomplished if and I believe you will be reelected. And then why should people vote for you?
Yeah. No, and Bill gave a great intro about the water, and it certainly could take up multiple programs talking about the complexity of the water issues. And I think, some things, other things on our plate going forward are the groundwater cleanup. We have some historical treatment and pollution issues that we are working on getting some treatment installed on that will bring a lot of wells back on. We also recently successfully sued some polluters at the Whitaker Bermite facility and got a lot of money for our valley back on that one. So we want to make sure our groundwater stays available for our customers. We have a tremendous amount of groundwater, which is a big asset to the valley. We're working hard on recycled water, which is basically taking treated wastewater and finding a good use for it. It is extremely complex in terms of permitting, making sure that the public health is protected, and also balancing any environmental impacts with that water that may previously have been discharged to the river. If we relocate it somewhere else, we have to definitely account for the environmental impacts. So it is not easy, but we are committed to that. The current drought has renewed everybody's interest in conservation. We have a lot of programs for people who want to tune up their yard irrigation and get some rebates for that. If they haven't already done it, now's a good time to think about that. So it's kind of a all of the above approach for water in this valley. And you talked about schools and kids, and Jason's off to get his kids. I have a daughter in our local schools, actually in Hart School District, Joe. And I say to people, when you relocate or you're looking where to live, people a lot of times will look at the school district. Is it a good school district or not? And people know that Santa Clarita is a good school district. They also need to know, is their water supply stable? Is it well planned? There's many areas of the state that go onto or lose wells. We do not do that because we're well planned. I'm really proud of that. And you mentioned the Sustainability Agency. That agency is a partnership with also the city and the county, and we are tasked to make sure that we're operating sustainably, that we are not overusing our resources. And our very first report came out looking at all of the data points, came back that we are operating just fine, and we will continue to monitor those data points to make sure that even under drought conditions, we operate sustainability. So there's a lot of good stuff going on, and I'm proud to be a part of it.
Okay, so you got like I said,
ahead.
Bill and Jason at your time. I'm going to bring you back on, but tell us really quick, where can people find out more information about you and, at your website and such?
Yeah. Check out my information at electmaria.com. I am hoping to retain my seat on the board and be a part of Santa Clarita's future. We have to plan ahead.
Yep.
Bill said it. I'll say it again. We cannot fail to plan. California's going to face droughts, and we're going to face flooding. We need to be ready for both of them, and this valley has done a great job so far, but we need to stay on it.
I agree.
Even more going into the
And you've got
future.
water in the heart. All right, we got to go. Maria, I'll bring you back on. Sorry for the short time. Joe Messina, one of your hosts. The other one took off on me. You're listening to Trending SCV. Back here on Friday at 11 o'clock. Grab your breakfast and come on back.